Burning records. In 1966, John spoke to a reporter in London. They were talking about the modern church, and he said, "We're more popular than Jesus now." When John's words were reported in the US a few months later, many people were angry. There were newspaper stories like, "Lennon says that the Beatles are bigger than Jesus." This wasn't what John meant, but some shops refused to sell their records. Some radio stations refused to play them. A few radio stations asked listeners to burn their Beatles records. Years later, Ringo joked, "It was okay for us, because then they bought them again." But at the time, the band and their manager were worried. So what did John mean? He tried to explain his words to the American people before the band toured the country again. "I was just saying it as a fact," he explained. "It is true, more for England than here. I'm not saying that we're better or greater. I'm sorry that I opened my mouth." It was a bad start to the Beatles' last tour. The end of touring. The tour continued, but it wasn't a happy time. Some newspapers in the United States were against the band now. For the first time, there were a few empty seats at some concerts. But it was still impossible to hear the music because of the screams. As George said, touring wasn't fun now. Also, their lives were different. Only one Beatle, Paul, wasn't married. It was time to stop travelling. At first, Paul wanted to tour more, but finally he agreed with the others. On the 29th of August, 1966, they played at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. They played 11 songs, finishing with "I'm Down." It was the Beatles' last concert. The band faced a new question. What now? In his heart, John thought, this is the end, really. For some time, the Beatles all did different things. George spent a few weeks in India. Paul worked with George Martin on the music for a film, The Family Way. The music won an award. John went to Spain to act in a film, How I Won the War. It wasn't a good film, and John wasn't a good actor, but he did come back wearing the famous small, round John Lennon glasses. Ringo spent a few weeks in Spain with John, and he enjoyed time at home with his wife and child. Back in the studio, the band felt more free. Now they didn't have to play any new songs on stage. They could do anything, and they did, with George Martin's help. The next songs were another big step into new musical areas. But they also looked back, as both John and Paul turned to their Liverpool past for Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane. Story behind the songs. When he was a child, John lived near a children's home. The home was called Strawberry Field. John's song, Strawberry Fields Forever, wasn't really about that place. It just took the home's name. The line, "Nothing is real," perfectly described this strange, beautiful song.